Since ancient times, humans have needed to hide messages from their enemies. 2,000 years ago, Roman generals used a simple system called the Caesar shift to scramble their letters, rotating the alphabet so their orders would appear as gibberish to anyone who intercepted them. By World War II, those simple letter shifts had escalated into complex mechanical gears. Machines used rotating rotors and electrical plugs to scramble battlefield communications into codes that were nearly impossible to break by hand. But let's step away from generals and battlefields for a moment. Imagine two modern spies. Let's call them Alice and Bob. Alice needs to send a secret letter to Bob, and she has to drop it into a public mailbox. The problem is the local postman. He is nosy, and he has a terrible habit of opening and reading every single envelope that passes through his hands. Protecting Alice's letter from that postman is the same challenge we face today. Whenever you check your email or log into your bank, your computer is playing a digital version of this game of cat and mouse against an eavesdropper. Alice's first idea is straightforward. She takes her letter, locks it inside a sturdy metal box with a physical key, and drops that box in the mail. This approach is what we call symmetric encryption. It means you use the exact same key to lock the box and to unlock it. Today, computers use hyper-fast digital math for this, following standards that have been refined since the early days of corporate computing. In the 1970s, as corporate computing was just getting started, companies needed a way to lock up digital records. They developed the first widely used digital standards to ensure businesses could store their information safely for the first time. A single key system like this is efficient because it takes very little processing power to scramble the data. That makes it the best choice for packing up huge files or streaming high-definition video. But Alice has a massive problem. To let Bob open the box, she has to mail him the physical key. And while that key is in transit, the postman can simply press it into a block of clay and make his own copy. Sharing a secret key over a public network is a risky strategy. If the postman copies the key, the security of the entire system is gone. Bob realizes they need a better system, so he comes up with a clever workaround, a lock that has two distinct parts. Using clever math, Bob generates two permanently linked items, an open padlock, the public key, and a unique physical key, the private key. Bob hides the private key safely at home, then drops the open padlock in the mail to Alice. The postman can intercept the package and stare at the open padlock all he wants, but looking at the outside of an open lock tells him nothing about the shape of the key needed to open it. Alice receives the padlock, places her secret message in the box, and snaps Bob's lock shut. This is known as asymmetric encryption. Because of how the math is designed, once that padlock clicks shut, only the private key kept by Bob can open it. Not even Alice, the person who locked the box, can open it back up. By splitting the lock and the key, Bob and Alice completely solve the sharing problem. Two people can pass a secure lock across a public space and establish a private channel without ever having to meet in person. Alice and Bob can now send messages safely. But Bob runs into a totally different problem at his headquarters. He needs to store Alice's secret spy password in his central database so he can recognize her when she tries to log in. He can't simply lock the passwords away in an encrypted file. If he does, there will eventually be a master key somewhere designed to unlock them. If a hacker breaks into the server and finds that key, every single password is exposed. Sending a message is about safe communication, but verifying someone's identity requires a system for verification. Bob needs a way to prove Alice knows her password without actually keeping a readable copy of it. Bob takes Alice's password and throws it into a mathematical grinding machine. The machine spits out a chaotic string of random characters. This grinder is a one-way math function. We call it hashing. And unlike encryption, you can't run the machine in reverse to turn those random characters back into the original password. A hash function takes any amount of data and grinds it into a specific digital fingerprint. It is designed so that the same password always produces the same fingerprint, but the process can never be reversed. When Alice wants to log in, she types her password. Bob simply runs her typed word through the same math grinder. If the new fingerprint perfectly matches the one he saved earlier, she is granted access. He never has to see her actual password. But there is a rare vulnerability in the system, called a collision. A collision happens when two completely different passwords produce the exact same fingerprint at the end of the process. Hackers use supercomputers to churn through millions of